shake your dicks. This pissing contest is over. And then the little look he does.
The look
Yeah.
is so
He
good.
knows it was a good line.
Yeah, he's like, you like that?
Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Popcorn in the Face podcast. I'm your host, Valerie McDonald, and my co-hosts today are Matthew Iorio and Connor Busella. So today we will be discussing my all-time favorite comedy, The Other Guys. The Other Guys was released on August 6, 2010, and it was written by Adam McKay and Chris Henchy and also directed by Adam McKay. And it stars Mark Walhberg and Will Ferrell. So I am going to do a super quick plot synopsis just to kind of set the stage, and then we will dive into some trivia, some IMDb facts, and some other categories and awards that we have prepared for this movie. So diving right into our plot synopsis, The Other Guys is set in present-day New York City, and it is narrated by Ice-T. He frames the NYPD as a department where all the glory goes to the loudest and flashiest cops. At the top of this are legendary super cops Danson and Highsmith, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson. The story follows Alan Gamble, played by Will Ferrell, and Terry Hoyts, played by Mark Walhberg, and they are immediately given the title as The Other Guys. They don't really fit into stereotypical categories. These two are kind of overlooked detectives that are stuck on desk duty. Alan is a mild-mannered forensic accountant, and Terry is a skilled but very short-fused cop who ended up getting demoted after he accidentally shot Derek Jeter during a World Series game. So under the leadership of Captain Gene Mouch, played by Michael Keaton, they're assigned low-profile cases that no one else wants. When reviewing financial records, Alan notices suspicious activity tied to billionaire businessman David Ershon, played by Steve Coogan. And kind of around the same time as this, Danson and Highsmith are suddenly out of the picture, which we will discuss a little bit later. And this creates kind of a leadership vacuum in the department. The heroes are gone. Multiple detectives are trying to look for or seeing this as an opportunity to step up. And that includes Martin and Fosse, played by Rob Riggle and Damon Wayans Jr., and Alan and Terry, who view the Ershon case as their chance to finally be taken seriously. Alan and Terry quietly continue following the money in the Ershon investigation, and it ends up expanding into a massive conspiracy involving corporate fraud, millions of dollars missing from the NYPD pension fund. The stakes rise. Alan's forced to confront his past. Terry struggles to rebuild his career. They both deal with relationship issues. Ultimately, the two expose Ershon's scheme, recover the stolen funds, and they earn the recognition that they have long been denied. So that is The Other Guys in a nutshell. I very much simplified the Ershon investigation. It's a surprisingly complex plot for a comedy, in my opinion. There's kind of a lot going on. But diving right in, where were you guys when you watched this movie for the first time? I personally never remember where I am. You'll kind of find a theme for me in these episodes is that I don't know when I watched these movies for the first time. I do not have any memory of that. I only, especially with movies that I've seen so many times. So I'll throw it over to you, Matthew. Where were you when you first watched this movie? And do you remember that time?
Yeah, I feel like I'm usually the opposite of you, where I always have some very specific
Yep.
memory laced with specific emotions and everything tied in to it. But I'm really sure I saw it in the theaters with my family. Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell led movie is definitely something Paul would have taken us to.
For sure.
So I'm pretty sure I saw it then, but I can't specifically remember that experience. I can't visually remember being in the theater itself. So it was definitely the theaters, and then the first time I remember being super aware of it was probably just rewatching at home with my family.
Yeah. What about
I
you?
definitely did not see this one in theaters. It came out when I was in early high school, I believe. I want to say this was one of those early DVDs that got dozens upon dozens of views in our basement and in the Iorio's living room there. This is one that, much like the first two movies that we've covered, this is one that we've watched collectively, in the triple digits. This is one that's we have seen way too many times collectively. All together, sitting and watching this together, we've seen this a gross amount of times. But I have vivid memories of watching this one with friends in a basement, kind of sleepover vibes movie. Like you said, it's a great Will Ferrell comedy, and I don't have a ticket stub. I did not see this one in theaters. This was a little before my more regular theater run.
Yeah, I'm like so jealous, Matthew, of your ticket stub collection because that's just like it never even like I save everything,
Mhm.
and yet it didn't occur to
Yep.
me to like start that as a collection.
Mhm.
Like I have 1,000 collections, and I wish that were one of them. I mean, I can start now, I
Right.
guess, but
I can't take full credit for it because it was definitely not forced upon me, but like growing up, my dad is like, okay, when we go to the movies, let's all keep our ticket stubs. It'd be cool to kind of have
oh
these.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And I don't know how we decide. I think I've mentioned every podcast so far that I have a Pikachu lunchbox tin.
yeah,
And I think it was just in my drawer. And I'm like, all right, let's just, just put it in here just to keep it for now. Okay, cool. And so it just happened because my dad's like, hey, why don't you keep these? And I'm just like, sure, because I'm 8 years old at this time. It's probably when I started it. And just ever since then, it became a habit. And also, I feel like there's definitely like not hoarding tendencies in my family, but we're very nostalgic people that love
yep,
to be pack rats and keep a lot of stuff like that. So I think it started from my dad, and then it just became a habit into adulthood. So I kind of lucked into that.
yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's dive into some general trivia. I have like one question and then I have like some lore that I want to share, but I'll kick it over to you, Connor, if you want to start with your trivia first and then we can go from there.
Yeah, of course. I only prepared one trivia question for the two of you. Um, and it is that this movie is the second movie that features both Samuel L. Jackson and Michael Keaton.
Oh,
Do you two know what the first movie that featured the two of them were?
Oh, I don't.
I feel like a lot of movies pre 2000. I feel like it's a pre 2000 movie, and I feel like
It is pre
pre
2000.
2000 movies, I'm not as great with trivia. So I don't know. Any guess?
I don't know either.
All right. All right. If no one has any guesses, it is Jackie Brown, 1997.
Oh, okay.
Very, very underrated Quentin Tarantino movie
Gotcha.
where
Yeah.
I believe Samuel Jackson plays a arms dealer and Michael Keaton plays a cop.
Mm.
Very different cop portrayal in that movie than in
Oh my
than in the
God.
other
Michael
guys.
Keaton's playing a lot of cops or a lot of crime fighters if you want to count Batman in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Michael Keaton. What about you, Matthew? Do you have any trivia questions?
So I'll give a piece of trivia first, which is really quick. I'm definitely going to mention it later. I'm sure you guys might as well too. But the lion and tuna rant in the one of the opening scenes was totally improvised by Will Ferrell, which I did not know, which is incredible. And then I have two trivia questions. I'm going to skip one because I feel like you guys are going to know it easily. I'll mention it anyways later. But my main trivia question for you is, what was an early title for the other guys that Adam McKay was told he couldn't use and may even be sued for if he did use it?
Oh my God, I read this in an article
Mhm.
when I was researching it, and now I'm blanking on what it was. Oh my God, I literally read this and I was like, "Oh, that's so
Mhm.
funny," and I did not commit it to memory. I don't think I know.
Mm.
I can't
I can
remember.
I know I'm having the same kind of feeling. It's something I
I can
knew,
give you
but I don't know.
it.
um, yeah, I don't have a guess.
My one hint will be it was a riff off a movie that was going to be released around the same time of production or the release of this movie.
Hmm.
Which still leaves it pretty wide open, so I understand if it's come to mind.
Yeah,
Ugh, I don't know.
yeah. I do not know.
He had half seriously, half jokingly said he was going to name the movie The B Team, a riff off the A
Oh yeah.
Team, which is being remade at that time.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, he was told that they're like, yeah, you kind of can't do that because you might get sued for that. And he's like, all right, then I'm not going to do that.
I think they
That's
got
so
a
funny.
much better name
Yeah,
than the
Yeah.
B team.
perfect.
Oh my God, that's funny. Those are good questions. Okay, I have one trivia question and then I'll go into some other like random things that I found. But my question is, Adam McKay has shared some of his all-time favorite moments from films that he has been involved in. He names the family prayer scene in Talladega Nights, the Jenga tower scene in The Big Short, Jack Black kicking the dog off the bridge in Anchorman, and which scene from the other guys?
Was it a Danson and Highsmith scene?
Yes.
So would that be Aim for the Bushes?
Yes. Yep, that's what it was. He said he said that or he named those scenes in particular because they were all just like crazy unexpected things and he just loves doing that in movies, I guess. So which I thought that was really funny. All right. And then one other random thing I guess I'll kind of like put this in the trivia section is that Adam McKay got the idea like for the movie The Other Guys after having dinner with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell together. Like they went to like an Italian place and like I think he was just like he was so like stunned by like their like the
Chemistry.
What's the word? Like the chemistry, but like also like the juxtaposition of their two personalities. And like he just was like laughing all night long and was like that basically like that one dinner is like what really launched the Will Ferrell Mark Wahlberg duo. Incredible. So and then they went on to do Daddy's Home 2 with the same group. So yeah, it was funny that it was just like one night of just them being funny together is like what led to this movie being created.
That's awesome.
I feel like we definitely looked or read some of the same articles or some of these facts here. Because I'm like, I heard this exact same thing too.
No, I'm pretty sure it was in the same article as the B team.
Yeah.
It was like an Adam McKay interview or something. Yeah, and I kept looking more into just like Adam McKay and Will Ferrell and everything, and apparently they had like a huge falling out. And they like don't create that, like their like creative partnership and friendship are like completely done now.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why is because Winning Time. Did you guys ever watch Winning Time? It was the Lakers HBO series.
Big fan of that show.
Yeah, me too. I love that show. But I guess McKay cast oh my god, what's his name?
John C. Reilly,
and he didn't tell Will Ferrell that he was going to be casting him, and I guess that like turned into like a huge thing, and it's the end of their friendship and creative partnership. So they don't work together anymore. And I saw something that said Adam McKay was like, I messed up, like he tried apologizing, and Will Ferrell just like didn't respond to him. So they don't work together anymore. After apparently deep diving into Adam McKay's life.
Wow.
So
that's a shame. And
I know.
I mean, they hadn't collaborated together in many years leading up to that, and I think that's why Will Ferrell took it quite personally, was that he
that makes sense.
Really wanted to be involved in that project.
Oh,
yeah.
And I hate to say it, but John C. Reilly was perfectly cast as Jerry Buss in that series. He was really funny and really embodied that over the top Jerry Bussness.
Mm-hmm.
So Will Ferrell wasn't happy about the fact that Adam McKay kind of cast John C. Reilly in this role without consulting him, bringing him on the project.
Yes.
Okay. Was Will Ferrell attached to this at all? Like, producing?
He was never attached, but I think after John C. Reilly was cast, I think he was kind of like, what? I could have done that role.
Well, don't they have a production company together though? Like I don't know. I guess I didn't read too deep into it. But...
Will Ferrell usually seems, I mean, not that he is problematic, but he seems like such an unproblematic person that seems very odd that happened.
I know.
Yeah, I know. That was a very weird story when it broke, and it was kind of upsetting to read because we got some very funny movies with the two of them working together. And even outside the movies, their Funny or Die content they worked on together was very funny.
Yes. Was that Adam McKay's daughter or Will Ferrell's daughter that was in the Pearl the Landlord video?
Yeah, Pearl the Landlord, and then there was the Good Cop Bad Cop one. Those are both very funny shorts.
All right, so now let's go into a little bit of IMDb deep dive. I'll go first because I just have a couple of like really random things. One, I had no idea that Dirty Mike was Adam McKay the whole time.
Mhm.
I'm like, why did I just learn
That's what
that
Kermit
dirty? And then The Boys was the director of photography, the property master, and the producer. Like, I had no idea. Like, that idea like just came to them, and like they just ran with it, and it was just like stupid and funny. And I'm obsessed because it's my favorite part of the entire movie is the whole dirty
Yeah.
bike and The Boys. So I'm so obsessed that they did that. And then the other thing that I had was basically there was like 10 or 15 people who were in this movie that were also in the office at some point or another. After doing some digging, I found many people who, I mean, among other sitcoms, but
Mhm.
specifically The Office, that there were so many people. Like, obviously Will Ferrell was D'Angelo.
Mhm.
Zach Woods, who was Gabe, he was in it for like 2 seconds. He was like
Mhm.
he was like, how's the wife? And she died.
Attaboy.
Yeah, attaboy. And then Andy Buckley is David
Mhm.
Wallace. Rob Riggle was Captain Jack in that one episode
Forgot
on
about
the
that.
I
cruise.
forgot he was in The Office.
Yeah. Brett Gelman, aka Murray from Stranger Things. He was the magician in, I think it was like maybe season
Mm.
8 of the. There were
One that
so
Jim
many people.
bullies.
Yeah. Rob Hubel. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. He was AJ. There was even a few other ones too that I noted. I like wrote down, but I don't think that any of us will remember
Right.
their scene in The Office because it was just like minor
Mhm.
roles. But a lot of people who had previously
Mhm.
been on The Office at one point or another. Any other IMDb deep dive
Yeah.
from your end, Matthew?
I got two. I couldn't
Okay.
pick, and they kind of go together in a morbid way. So while doing kind of a dive in the cast and everything, which first of all, this cast is absolutely insane. There's so many famous people and people I'll mention later too, but they've gone on to do bigger and better things, or to do more things, I guess, more prominently. But the two people I wanted to kind of focus on were Anne Heck and Ray Stevenson. So they're Anne Heck was the CEO of Glendale Global, the blonde woman
Mm.
who she really went uncredited in this. Like when I looked at the Google cast, she was not pictured at all, but then she was on the Wikipedia cast list. Her Ray Stevenson, who was the lead like Australian bodyguard, security guard, whatever the guy, whatever his name was. They were two of three people in this movie that have since died since the release of this. The third
Oh my
being,
god.
less surprisingly, Mama Ramos, Eva Mendez's mother. That actress
Mm.
was 90 at the time of the movie, and then 97 when she passed away. So it makes more sense there.
Wow.
But with Anne Heck and Ray Stevenson, Anne Heck died in August 2022. She was prominently in a lot of stuff, but one that stuck out to me on her kind of call sheet were Donnie Brasco, and I Know What You Did Last Night. And then Ray Stevenson, I know personally from playing Volstagg in the Thor movies. One of the was the Warriors 3 that are friends with Thor,
Mhm.
and then Balon Skull in the Ahsoka series, which he had like critical acclaim from, but that released 3 months after he had died in real life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the quick background with them. Anne Heck in August 2022, there was on the day that she first kind of got injured, that eventually led to her death. She had caused a sequence of 3 separate car accidents, and
Oh my
the
god.
first she like hit one car, and then she like backed up and drove away and got out of there. Then like short time after, the same day, like I think with minutes later, crashed into a second car, fled that scene, and then as she's fleeing and driving away again, she eventually drove into a house and went like 30
Oh my
feet
god.
into the house, crashed hard into it, started a fire. All the stuff happened. I guess the fire is bad enough. Took an hour for like 59 firefighters on the scene to get it out. All the stuff happened where the house is uninhabitable. And at first, the firefighters didn't know someone was in the car, so they didn't immediately try to rescue her. And eventually, they're like, "Oh shit! Like there's someone in here." They got her out. She was conscious when they pulled her out. Apparently, she had really bad burns, was suffering from like smoke inhalation, everything. Went to the hospital. I think as she was like getting into the ambulance, like kind of fell unconscious, ends up going into a coma, and then eventually like that same day, maybe the next day, was pronounced brain dead. And then I think several days
Wow.
later they took her off life support because they kept her on long enough because she was an organ donor, so they were going to let her obviously keep her alive long enough to harvest the organs, find matches and everything. But yeah, this whole crazy sequence of events, all the stuff ends up passing away. I want to say she was like in her early 50s. She was definitely young. And I can remember this
Oh
happening a
my
few years
god.
back too and seeing the news and being like, holy shit, this is crazy.
What happened? Was she having was she like under the influence or having like a mental
So,
health like episode or something?
yeah.
Like how'd she get in all those
So from
accidents?
what I remember, and then kind of doing some quick research for this pod for me bringing this up, I remember she had a kind of a sordid past with like mental health
Mm.
episodes and whatnot. Um, but with this, it seemed like it wasn't that related to that. And then there had been maybe recent history of like certain kind of substance use, but then a toxicology coroner's report that came out like right after her death when things were being kind of publicized. It said that she wasn't like under the influence of anything at the time of this, so people really weren't sure what was going on. Even though there had been a history of some
Jeez.
stuff, it seems like nothing else was really at play during this.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's the first half of my morbid thing. That's really the bulk of it.
And you have
Yeah.
another morbid
Well, because
one.
the other person, Ray Stevenson, he died in May 2023. His cause of death is unknown still. I think I know he
Wow.
passed away in Italy, and I think he was on location, maybe I think filming a new movie. So he died during the filming of that, and no one really knows kind of what happened. So I'm sure if it was something drug related, it would have come out, but it didn't seem like he was ever involved with stuff like that. So it might have been just some weird freak, health incident that just kind of happened. But yeah, he passed away almost 3 years ago now. Yeah. So when I saw both their names, or when I saw them both in the movie, holy shit, like they've died since this came out. Like I can remember seeing all this in the news.
Wow.
That's crazy. I did not know about. I mean, I guess I kind of assumed that Mama Ramos passed away from old age, but I had no idea that they passed away. That's so sad and
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Starting the podcast on a high note,
Yeah.
Positivity.
I'm like, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
It's kind of short. It's kind of short.
Yeah, my IMDb deep dive is way less morbid than Matthew's. It's a lot more similar to Val's. I didn't bring up any Office cameos, but I do have two cameos from a show that we all love. Another Mike Schur comedy, Parks and Recreation. We have Ben Schwartz, who plays John Ralphio, was Don Beeman's assistant.
Oh yeah.
And Allison Becker, who plays Shauna Malway-Tweep, she was the financial news anchor.
I'm a big fan of both of those, and I plan on bringing Ben Schwartz back up later. Allison Becker, I personally love for just a random reason. Where a few years back, so she shares the same name as the goalkeeper of my favorite soccer team, Liverpool. His name is also Allison Becker, spelled a little like with a second S in Allison. The Brazilian guy, no relation whatsoever. But someone brought to her attention a few years ago that they shared the same name. So she has latched on. Is like, oh, I'm a Liverpool fan now, and has made kind of joke and semi-serious content about being a Liverpool fan because of that. But like, she will always stick out in my mind because of that relation there.
All right. So next up is the optimal viewing experience. So what is the best way to watch this movie? Alone, with others, movie theater, any of the above. I like our previous couple episodes. I do think that this is a movie that's best watched like either at home with friends, like kind of flipping through channels. Like I think that this is like a movie that I've probably watched like bits and pieces of like through cable like many times, and it's like you can jump in wherever. It's like it doesn't matter. It's a silly comedy. You don't have to be sitting there from start to finish. But I do think that this is a movie best watched at home with friends, with family. It doesn't have to be like a serious viewing experience at all, which I like about that. What about you, Matthew?
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I thought about this and I was like, yeah, this is definitely better with others. I mean, I was laughing watching it by myself, but I feel like all the years watching my family, watching it with you guys when our families got together, it definitely heightens the comedy. And I feel like this like absurd type of comedy that's in this movie is only made better when other people are laughing around you.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I agree. I put movie night.
Yeah.
Just at the house, throw it on. Definitely best with more people around. I mean, it's a good action comedy. It's nonstop laughs. It's a perfect. We can't decide what to watch. I got it. We're throwing on the other guys, and no one has any problems with it.
I wish I could go back and experience this movie for the first time in theaters. One being, this was 2010, so I would have been like 16 going on 17, depending on the part of the year. So being that age and watching this, I probably was just like dying of laughter, but also experiencing it at that time with the theater presumably full of people and hearing their reactions. Like I feel like that first in-person experience would have been so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I completely agree. I have never seen this in the theater, but this is a comedy that like I do think would be good to see in the theater just because it has like a decent amount of action, and I feel like it's one of those movies where like I think I would have walked out being like, what was that? Like that was so weird, but then like watch it again and again and
Yeah,
again.
we would have been 11 at the time that it came out.
Yeah, no, I was a child, so definitely was not watching that. But I gotta be honest, I think I did watch it like shortly after.
Knowing our family,
Like,
definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably was like 13 or so when I watched it. Like I definitely
Mhm.
feel like I have vivid memories of like understanding quotes from this movie like in like middle school and like early high school. Like I feel like people would always be like 9:15 everybody, let's have a great day. Like people used to say
Yeah.
stuff like that like around school.
Mhm.
So like I do feel like I had to have been, and I understood what that meant. And I was like in 8th grade. So like I do feel like I shortly after it came out, I probably watched it, but
Right.
not when I was 11.
Yeah. Well, if you did, it would be better than when my dad showed me something about Mary at 5 years old. So
Why's her hair like that?
no, literally, it was not until I was in my 20s and I rewatched it and it was on TV, and I'm like, wow, now I understand this part. Holy shit!
You're like, Dad, what the hell? Why were you showing me this when I was 5?
That could have been said for a lot of movies back then.
Yeah. Okay, next category is describe a movie plot poorly. So one sentence, bad description of the movie. Connor, you go first.
All right. We have disgraced NYPD detective attempts to take down financial corruption in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis.
That's
It
good.
makes it sound so much
Yeah,
more
a little more of
serious.
a thriller than a comedy.
Yeah, fair. I like that.
I feel like the star like Michael Douglas over Michael Keaton.
Yep.
Yes.
Definitely a Michael
100%.
Douglas, late 80s.
Yep.
All right. I have, in a world where NYPD officers care more about being famous and doing their jobs and keeping New York City safe, a former pimp turned forensic accountant does his job and drags along his emotionally stunted partner to stop an embezzlement scheme.
I like it. I like the former pimp.
Yeah. I'm like, I gotta throw those in there.
Yeah. I have a pair of untouchable NYPD legends chase glory and headlines through a city that worships them until their relentless pursuit of heroism becomes the ultimate act of self-destruction. And that is on Dancing in Highsmith only.
Yeah.
Pretending that this is like an
movie.
80s. Yeah, this is a Dancing in Highsmith like prequel. It's like an 80s like cop comedy. Or I don't even know if it would be a comedy.
I'd watch that.
But just action.
So who plays young Rock and young Samuel L. Jackson in the prequel?
Ooh, that's good. Honestly, I don't know. I might have to get back to you on that, unless you have a thought.
I
need
right
time.
now. I have no idea.
Yeah, I need time to think.
Yeah.
Like I can't be
We'll
put
circle
on the
back
spot.
at the end.
Yeah. All right. So moving into our favorite quote, and I will start with you, Connor, if you want to take it away and give us your favorite couple quotes, however many you have.
All right. I have way too many, but I was able to narrow it down to a top 3. It was a very quotable movie, and getting it down to this top 3, I think for all 3 of us was a challenge. But I will start with my number 3 favorite quote of this movie, and it is Michael Keaton's "Shake your dicks, this pissing contest is over." And then the little look he does.
The look,
Yeah.
so
He
good.
knows it was a good line.
Yeah, he's like, you like that?
Yeah. That is just so funny. Michael Keaton, there's a few line readings of his that I'm not crazy about in this movie, but that is my favorite. Then Damon Wayans Jr. at the very end when they get the big arrest. Hope you like prison food and penis.
I love that one.
That's wild. They have so many. The two of them, Rob Riggle and him, have so many funny quotes. And my number one favorite is "Thanks for the F Shack. Love Dirty Mike and the Boys." I figured was your favorite as well.
Yep.
And then I got an honorable mention that I just don't want to leave off. It's the cucumber accents the water in such a way. So,
he's not wrong though.
that.
Cucumber water is fire, so it's
I don't
so
think
funny.
I had it until after I watched this movie.
Same.
And every time I have it, I'm like, damn, this is really good. And then I think of that. It accents the water in such a way.
Yeah, that could be a vernacular one for you.
Yeah. What'd you have, Matthew?
Yeah, like you, I literally have, like, I'm staring at 20 different quotes on my Google Doc right now. I'm gonna read 3, but I'm gonna say first just the whole chunk of Will Ferrell's dialogue about like being a tuna and going after Mark Wahlberg being a lion. Like, all of that was always stuck with me growing up. I loved that, especially when he's like, "Lion tastes good." Like, that line reading always.
We've developed a taste for lion.
Yeah. So that is, in and of itself, is probably my favorite quote. But I'm gonna read 3 different ones that really stuck out to me on this rewatch. Really small, but in the beginning, when Highsmith and Danson are doing the press conference after their bust, and someone reporter is like, "Are the rumors about you and Kim Kardashian true?" And he goes, "No comment, but yes."
Matthew, that's my favorite. That is my favorite quote from this entire movie. I was gonna save it for the, like, made it into the vernacular, because like I'll always be like, "No comment, but yes," and like I love that quote so much.
I knew one of you were gonna have to have that one.
Yeah.
So I'd be stepping on someone's toes with it. Got that one. Just anytime Michael Keaton is talking about his son at NYU, the first time he mentions about working 2 jobs, and he's like, "So I can put my kid through NYU so he can explore his bisexuality and become a DJ." Like, those pieces of information we do not need. And why is he telling random people about that?
Yeah, such an oversharing moment.
Yes.
I love the second time he does it too. The DA asks him how his son is doing. He's like, "He's bisexual." Tremendous.
Tremendous.
And then I have 2 here that I'm trying to decide between. I guess I'll go with an Alan quote, since you already pulled a quote from the last scene with Damon Wayans. So I had another one from that. But at Danson Highsmith's funeral, Alan and Terry are talking about whatever, and they're talking about Alan growing up, and Alan's like, "I went to school, I made my bed, and at age 11, I audited my parents. And believe me, there were some discrepancies, and I was grounded."
And Terry's like, "What are you?"
So I'd say those got to
So
be
funny.
3 favorite quotes amongst like 30, but those are 3 I just picked for this.
Yeah.
How about you, Val?
No, those are amazing, and I literally had both of what you guys put. I had like all of them, and the thing with this movie is that I was able to do all of this prep. I think I got like 15 or 20 quotes written down before I even watched the movie. Like, I was just like sitting there like writing it from memory. I'm like typing. I like had so many things that I thought of before I even watched the movie. But yes, I will add on, Connor, about your Dirty Mike and the Boys part. Like, thanks for the F Shack. I also wrote down, "We about to have us a little screw party in the red Prius over here if you want to join us." And then like a couple minutes later, like after Terry and Ellen are like, "Get out of here, get out of here," and then they go, "We are gonna have sex in your car. It will happen again." That the second part of that, it will happen again. Like, that I love. That one's up there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would say that's like my favorite. I mean, the Danson and Highsmith one is probably my favorite. But okay, other ones I gotta go through. Same, Matthew. I gotta go through my Google Doc because there's a lot going on in here. Another one that's like, it's definitely not in like my top ones, but it's one that makes me laugh every time, is when Bob comes over and he's like, "My wife's making her famous deviled eggs again. My waistline's furious." that one kills me. I love his line delivery there. I love him. Within the Tiger or no, not tiger, lion tuna sequence, specifically the like hour 45. Like I love
the details.
He's like, I don't know how long it'll, yeah, he's like hour 45. Like
A
that
breathing
one is
apparatus made out of kelp.
yes, the kelp breathing apparatus. Yep. The hot dog guy, free hot dogs for life. Can't do drinks though. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
I will say, I wanted to comment on this. He made out very well in that deal because they died like immediately after, so he never had to give out free hot dogs.
Yeah, so true. I never even thought about that. He didn't have to do any.
Then immediately,
He should have said drinks too. He should have.
right?
Yeah, it would have been cooler.
Yeah.
Also, Martin saying, so I took the belt off my neck and got the hell out of there. Talk about a wild weekend. What are you going to do, though? You know, bar mitzvahs. That one is such a classic. Also, Alan talking to Sheila, he goes, you come in here dressed like a hobo. And she like looks insanely beautiful.
Yeah.
And your dress is so nice. And he goes, dressed like a hobo. Oh my God, I have so many other random ones. One other one on Alan and Sheila when he goes, I think to myself, who in the world would slow roast a dog's asshole? You. That one killed me also. And then last one, kind of maybe a not aged the best, but also maybe did age the best. Try your hardest not to be Black or Hispanic from Fosse.
That was the other quote I was pulling with.
Yeah.
That's always a great one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was like,
not
maybe
wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But yeah, so I have a few other ones, but I'll save them for like the for the vernacular.
Cool.
So moving right into that, Matthew, do you have any phrases that you use in your day to day now because of this movie?
Yes, I actually made 3 subcategories for this one. I
Love
like,
it.
forgot about a lot of these that I like say them or people I know say them. So for me personally, just Dirty Mike and the Boys, like that group name, my family says constantly. I'm sure, as you know, Val, my sister, one of your best friends, doesn't ever shut up about Dirty Mike and the Boys, wanting to name a cat that. So we say that all the time. It's always anyone's Mike, oh, Dirty Mike and the Boys. So that's definitely been said a lot within my family. I weirdly say don't go chasing waterfalls a fair amount. Anytime there's chasing involved, I will just like think of that line. And I kind of made it like a saying for a short amount of time with my one friend group that like used to play poker a lot, like in late high school, throughout college, and we played intermittently post college, just, you know, people moved away, got busy, whatever. But I remember we were, you know, playing poker, and so we were talking about like on the river. So like after the flop, like the next couple cards come out, you know, someone's like, oh, don't try to go chasing certain cards.
Yeah,
and
I
I
would chase a
Mhm.
flush
So I'd
or
like,
chase a straight.
yeah, so I'm like, don't go chasing waterfalls. And I got a couple laughs out of it at the table. I just kind of said it. So then I kind of
I'm using this one again.
yeah, there you go. And so I would say from time to time, get some laughs, and I had like another friend say it once. It didn't like live very long, but I would like work it into like poker. After that one, I'd still say even I still say Arnie Palmies when Brett Gelman's character, who wants Arnie
Yep.
Palmies? And I don't drink Arnold Palmer. Like I like it, but I never drink them. But anytime my family mentions that, we are just saying Arnie Palmies. And then after that, I'll speed through these. Go for the bushes. I feel like I used to say that all the time. I'd say it to my brother randomly, and he'd know what I'd be talking about. And then, where was it? Alan says when he's trying to talk down the guy from jumping off the building, he's like, there's a lot of great things to live for, like soda pop, a big fresh can of soda pop. And so whenever people want soda or pop, I just combine it. I just use the full soda pop because that phrasing just sounds so much funnier to me than soda or pop. So I just say soda pop a lot. And then the other one I do, or that I would say from time to time, because it just pops in my head, or someone talks about a gun, and I'll be like, Gator needs his gat, and I'll just call it a gat, and just like reference Gator. Just a lot of random shit. There's no reason I should be saying these. And then the last two here that I have, my other 2 subcategories, I used to hear tons of people saying, you know, Terry's line about like, you can't keep me cooped up in here. I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly. I feel like that line is so popular. And then my last subcategory is, which I feel like maybe we should make just like a subcategory going forward, which is just shit Paul says. So shit my dad says, because he just repeats random lines from movies totally out of context. but he would repeat the line, Val, that you said about from Dirty Mike, where he's like, "We are going to have sex in your car. It will happen again." And he would just like,
Yeah.
if Dirty Mike was brought up or not, like just maybe something else random or tangential, he would say that, and just like finger popping each other's assholes from 21 Jump Street. Like, Dad, stop saying these lines out of context, please. Yeah,
those are so good.
That's my rant on my vernacular terms.
Love it.
Oh, those are all so good. This movie was so quotable. Everything you said was something I would have heard in high school or just like with friends or even all through college. Like this was one of those super highly quoted movies. I do need to jump on your Arnie Palmies there.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably the one that I still use the most. I don't think I've ever had one or heard one be referenced without saying it. It's just, it now goes right along with Arnold Palmer. They are Arnie Palmies now.
Yeah.
The only other one that I feel like is regularly said by me, something that really did make it into the vernacular, is in the scene when they first arrest David Ershon and they get the Miranda rights wrong. They say with a flotation device. And he kind of looks around and he's like, am I being punked? Yes. Am I being punked right now? It's something that I always say that. If someone does something weird, I'm just like, am I being punked? Are you punking me right now?
Those are great. Arnie Palmy is my number one. Like that, yeah, I like actively say that all the time. And I don't even say Arnold Palmer. Like I only say Arnie Palmy. And I also like find ways to work it into conversations when it doesn't even apply. Like that is one thing that like I obnoxiously say. I can't remember, Matthew, if you said it, but like, I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly. Like I personally don't say that, but that's probably the thing that I have heard quoted the most. Absolutely. Like the most people I feel like say that from this movie, like in their daily vernacular. Another one that like I actually do say is like from the scene when Martin and Fosse are like standing outside of the crime scene. He's like, at the crime scene, LOL. Good tweet, good tweet.
Yeah,
good tweet. Like I don't really say it as much anymore, but I used to say that all the time back when like Twitter was more of like a thing.
Yeah.
I used to say that all the time. Like that one, that was like a high school Val thing that I would do. And then let's see what else. Honestly, I feel like you guys pretty much covered. Oh, also another one that I don't personally say a lot, but like I know a lot of people that do say it is just like the bye Sheila, like bye Sheila. Like I feel like a lot of people like say that like all the time. And yeah, otherwise I feel like the one that I think I was talking to you guys like offline. I don't know what you want to call it. Off pod. I was talking to you guys about this, but like the whole like Dirty Mike in the boys secret, like thanks for the F Shack, I feel like would be in my daily vernacular, but there aren't many instances where you should be saying that.
Coming up.
So it literally never comes up. So yeah, so that's one that I think I would say because it's just so funny, but like yeah, there's no appropriate time to ever say that.
Just call it my dad, he'll quote it with you because apparently he says it all
yeah, literally. I know. Oh my God. There are also one other thing not in the vernacular, but I forgot to say earlier is I didn't even know his name was Hal in this, but basically Murray from Stranger Things again. His name is Hal in this. And when he's sitting in front of Terry in the other room and he's like, I bet because I have this beard, you think I'm really hairy. And he goes, nope, shaved. That one kills me.
I thought Connor was going to put one.
I know.
I can't believe I didn't write that down because that's something I used to say all the time.
I know you used to. Yeah, and I feel like the like shaved that's like could be in your vernacular like always. All right. I think we pretty much went through every single quote in the entire movie.
Yep.
So
and the pod.
Moving and a pod. Moving on to best use of music. So Connor, do you want to take this one away?
Yeah, I'll start with a couple honorable mentions before the one that I feel like has to be the winner of this category. I want to shout out Monday Monday by the Mamas and the Papas. I love this song. I still listen to this song all the time, and it transports me right back into this movie every time I listen to it. Icky Thump by the White Stripes. which I have that scene coming up in a later category. I think that song is awesome and it fits this movie super well. Um, and Sheila's rendition of Pimps Don't Cry is just beautiful, brings a tear to my eye. It's so funny. But the number one that I imagine most of us have on our lists is LRB, Reminiscing, Little River Band.
That's not
Oh,
what
wow,
I
no.
thought you were gonna. That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Same. Did not expect that.
Oh, I did not expect that.
Okay.
That is Reminiscing is in my list because that song is so funny. Like in high school, me and Kelly, we learned the song. Like I weirdly know all the words to that song.
You're very old souls
So
for a bunch of 16-year-olds.
we-
Here's some weird high
we
schoolers.
were literally 16 and we would sing. We would just walk around in our classes singing this song.
Little
So
River
that literally Little River Band. I can't even say it. That's a tongue twister.
LRB.
LRB.
You said LRB. I was like, who?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, I'm not even kidding. Like that one is definitely up there for me, but again, that is not what I thought you were gonna say.
I would have thought that was your
one.
number one.
Wow, I'm surprised. My number one is different. But I will let Matthew go because I think me and him probably have the same one.
Yeah, I'm betting. So I have 3. So my 2 honorable mentions are "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" with TLC, which is how they end it, which is
Mhm.
just a great wrap up, given all the 4, I believe, TLC references from Captain Gene. My second one is "I'm a Bee" by Black Eyed Peas. When they did that quick bar night drinking scene where it's all just stills and they're panning around, which I really want to know how that was filmed. I meant to look that up and I forgot to.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was
I really like that.
very
too.
random change of pace for how they shot that and everything, and it was just 30 seconds plugged in and then they're on to the next scene. But loved the randomness of "I'm a Bee" by Black Eyed Peas being that scene. And high school, Matt was super into the Black Eyed Peas. They were literally my favorite band in high school.
I'm not surprised.
And because growing up, my parents raised me on classic rock and some older pop music and stuff like that. And I liked and I still do all different types of genres of music. But they were the one band that I liked the most songs of at the time. So I was like, oh, Black Eyed Peas is my favorite band. And now I'm like, Black Eyed Peas is no one's favorite band. Why did I love it like that?
Yeah.
But as a 16-year-old, I think this came out in or going to my junior high school. I really loved that song popping in there. But my easy number one, which I feel is going to be Val's, but maybe not, is "My Hero" by Foo Fighters.
Yep.
I feel that
was my number one.
Perfect music, perfect song selection of them, and build up to them to Highsmith and Dance and jumping off the building, and that song playing as they're falling forever down the side of that building, and just the crack on the concrete, and the song cuts out. And I remember the first time I saw that, I was so shocked. I was like,
Me too.
oh my God. And it was you're shocked, but also laughing because it's so shocking and funny at the same time. But I thought just "My Hero" was the perfect song selection for that. And that song sticks out in my head for this movie more than any other songs.
Me too. That was my number one too. And then it cuts straight to the bagpipes at the funeral. It's so it's funny and dark and you're confused. And I love that scene. That was my number one. I had literally everything you guys said I had written on my list. "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls," "Reminiscing," "LRB," "I'm a Bee." But on the note of the Pimps Don't Cry, I guess Eva Mendes actually recorded a song for Pimps Don't Cry with CeeLo Green. So they that's an actual song, more than just her singing it to Alan in the living room or whatever. But yeah, that I feel that's gotta be up there just because I love when they create a song for a movie. I always think that's really funny. So yeah, definitely "My Hero," and then probably "Pimps Don't Cry" is a close second.
And a quick comment too. Well, through the discussion, it made me think of it. McKay and Ferrell just love random singing in their movies.
Yeah.
Sheila just starting to kind of sing "Pimps Don't Cry" to Alan at dinner just randomly. And then also the Irish, I forget what the name of that song is, but them singing that Irish song at the bar and Alan just keeps joining it, that randomly just pops up. It just makes me think of Anchorman when they randomly were singing "Afternoon Delight" together out of nowhere. They love plugging in random singing moments and everyone acting like it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we move along, I do want to also shout out the score of the movie. That very bluesy saxophone that comes in at the pivotal moments of their character development and their relationship, their bonding, kind of as the case progresses or as they hit a road bump. They do that very old school, like hard boiled detective movie style bluesy saxophone that I think just fits the style really well in this movie. Almost like it's almost ironically being used, but it also fits
Yeah.
very perfectly. Um, and I'm just a huge fan of the saxophone in general, so that being heavily featured in this movie was very nice.
Yeah, that was fire. I incorrectly thought that that was Turn the Page by Bob Seger. I was wrong. It wasn't. It's just their own little
Similar sax
yeah,
riff.
similar vibe. Alrighty, let's go into our favorite scene of the movie. I will go first because we've already covered mine like a million times, but mine's like a kind of like a two-parter. And it's Dirty Mike and the Boys. It's all things Dirty Mike and the Boys. It's when
Mhm.
the cop tells them everything that happens in the Prius overnight, and then jump to like when they meet Dirty Mike and the Boys, and then the thanks for the F Shack, etc.
Mhm.
That's my favorite like two-part scene of the movie. As I was like watching, I realized, like in my own opinion, I realized that there's honestly not that many like great scenes individually. I feel like there's just a lot of like hilarious like running bits and quotes that keep
Yes.
going throughout the movie, but like
Yep.
there wasn't like one scene that stood out to me like as in like this is an amazing scene. It was more just
Right.
like a continuation of the bits from earlier on where you almost like need all the context of like each time
Mhm.
to like
Mhm.
make the most sense. So yeah, I wouldn't say there was like a lot of like amazing scenes. It was just like collectively like it was a fire movie. But I will jump over to you, Matthew. What was your favorite scene?
Yeah, it was interesting watching this back because there's so many scenes that I love, and at a different point in time, I feel like I would have picked a different scene. But something that's always stuck with me, and then I just always it gets a really good laugh out of me, is the scene where Alan and Terry go to talk to David Ershon in his office, and he gives them the cucumber water, the various flavored waters. And I always found it so funny, him just like totally distracting them with tickets to all these games and shows.
Yeah.
And he just offers them 2 Knicks tickets, and they go and they're having the time of their life. Like, wait, like how the like wait a second, like how did we get here? And then they go them storming back in, and they're like, you can't do that to us again. And he's like, all right. And then he's like, how about Jersey Boys or whatever the other thing was, or I think Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
And then
Mamma
they're
Mia.
and they pop up at Jersey Boys, and he come back, and Alan's just like the costumes, the pageantry. So you really undersold Jersey Boys, and then they end up playing bad cop, and like snap out of it. Just them, just somehow mindlessly getting tricked and distracted into like going to these games and not doing their job always made me laugh. And watching this back now too, I was extra interested because I really paid attention to the fact that they're at a Knicks Celtics game, and I'm a big NBA fan, big Celtics fan. If you could see my hoodie here, and so I was interested to see and like go back to what that game was. They obviously were at a real game, but so I googled it, and that was apparently a game from November 22nd, 2009. Celtics in Madison Square Garden playing the Knicks. Celtics won 107-105 in overtime, and it was cool like watching the actual that clip because I could see all the real players that I remember watching and loving back then. So like off the top of my head, for anyone that might listen to this that's also into the NBA, I saw Celtics legend Paul Pierce. Rajon Rondo was another great Celtics player. Kendrick Perkins was a Celtic at the time, and on the Knicks, Nate Robinson, who ended up being a Celtic later, he was in the game as well. And I also thought it was funny that Terry was wearing a Knicks jersey. So Mark Walhberg, who notoriously is a massive Boston guy, born and raised there, so Boston everything. So it must have killed him inside to have to wear New York
Yeah.
Knicks gear when they're sworn enemies in basketball. And he was wearing, and I picked up on him when I saw it, that he was wearing a Danilo Gallinari jersey, which probably means nothing to you guys. I know you guys don't really follow the NBA.
That is correct.
Yeah, but it was a Italian player who's from Italy, came to play the NBA, who was pretty good, honestly. Later in his career, ended up playing for the Celtics for a bit, and I always really liked him. But I just thought it was funny that he kind of had just randomly Danilo Gallinari jersey on from back then. And then my last kind of
That's
comment on this favorite scene too was the cameos of them sitting next to Rosie Perez, Brooke Shields, and Tracy Morgan on the sidelines at that game. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. That was
With
funny.
Brooke
And
Shields
Brooke,
telling
yep.
Alan, call
Yeah.
me.
Oh, and I found out that apparently Brooke Shields' husband, I believe, co-wrote the movie, or he was like,
He was I
Oh,
believe a writer or producer,
yeah,
but
or
I
yeah,
believe he
yeah,
was a
one of those,
writer.
right?
that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's my favorite.
So I have two scenes that I wanted to talk about for favorite scene. The first one being one that we've already talked about so many times today, the aim for the bushes scene. It was so jarring. I didn't want to talk about it too much earlier. The movie seemed like it was going to be an action starring Samuel L. Jackson
Yes.
and The Rock. The whole movie has been staged that way for the first, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. It's revolving around them. They're the main characters, and like while they're slowly floating through the air, making their way down to that concrete, you're like, how do they survive this? Like you're wondering the whole time, do they hit an awning? Do they
Mm-hmm.
There was no bushes. You're kind of waiting for bushes to be
Yep.
panned in, and then no, they just splat on the
Yeah.
ground. And that is the scene that has stuck with me. When you think about this movie, it is Aim for the Bushes, where it really turns the
Mm-hmm.
movie over to Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm.
My second choice for favorite scene is the shootout in the offices. That's the scene featuring the White Stripes' Icky Thump when Mark Wahlberg's sliding on his back across the table. Lots of slow
Like
mo,
40 feet.
shoot 'em up action. They have the Chechkins and the
Nigerians.
the Nigerians and the security team, and and then Bob is sitting there
Bob.
too.
Bob's there.
They don't show Bob during the shootout as much as I would have liked to see him scrambling in there, but that whole sequence, really good action too. I thought that the movie doesn't, for a comedy, you'd kind of expect the action scenes to be kind of corny, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they did that really well in this.
Yeah.
So those are my two favorite scenes, also featuring two of the best uses of music. Every big pivotal scene in this movie really does have a song to go along with it, which I like a lot.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Now let's do aged like milk or aged like fine wine. This is our rewatchables shout out to what aged the worst or what aged the best. I will go first. I for aged like wine, I put Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell's dynamic. I think in general, like they went on to, not that I'm a huge fan of Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2, but I do think that like them kind of like singing together as like a comedy duo, and I think that aged really well. Like this was like the first of a few, and I'm sure they're making more. They're probably making Daddy's Home 3 as we speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that their dynamic aged really well. And then I also put down kind of a more like random one, but just overall, like the satire of like incompetent leadership, I think aged like wine. I think like it's just like it's timeless. It's like the idea that like the loudest, the flashiest people are like that they aren't the most effective always, and I think like that's still relevant in a lot of ways, and I think that yeah, that's what I had for aged like wine. And then I'll just quickly do, or actually, you guys can share your aged like wines first before we move on to milk. So Matthew, do you want to do yours?
Sure. I had a few here. Immediately, Kim Kardashian, and I say age like wine, not because I'm a Kim Kardashian fan, but because she is still super relevant and definitely more popular and famous than she was in 2010. Like, you
Yeah.
know, Keeping Up with the Kardashians probably started right around there, and she had her reasons for being, famous or before that as well. But like just that show continuing on, all of her lines, like Skims, the million other things that she's been known for since then. She's really just kind of exponentially gotten more famous and popular, successful. The second one I had was Snooki from Jersey Shore when they talk when there's a dance in high school, they're talking about the party that they're going to be throwing, and they're saying all these famous people are going to be there, and I believe Samuel L. Jackson says what he says, that little short bitch from Jersey Shore. That made me, they got a good laugh out of me listening to this back the other day. And then they had many more seasons and iterations of Jersey Shore, so many more episodes of that, and she's still very famous, and honestly seems like she's living her best life, and married, kids, all this stuff, doing well for herself now. So I thought that aged well for her. And then my last couple ones here, also like Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg in general, just their Daddy's Home collaborations and their careers keep just going up and up. And then I had a list of just like smaller actors and people that you kind of already mentioned earlier, so I'll be quick about it, that have gone on just to do more projects and more prominent things after this. So like Rob Riggle, Damon Wayans Jr., Zoe Lister-Jones, who was the group therapist. She was Fawn Moscato in New Girl and was a lead role in Life in Pieces, which is a very underrated, not well-known comedy that me and my wife love. So shout out to that show. The Rock aged great because he was like obviously famous and doing some movies at this point starting out, has become this mega superstar ever since then. I had Brett Gelman, who was Hal, who we talked about. You mentioned Val was in Stranger Things. Ben Schwartz, John Ralphio from Parks and Rec, literally the voice of Sonic from the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Bobby Cannavale, and I also had Zach Woods, Gabe from The Office, and he's kind of done some other stuff too. But I believe that was everything that I had for Aged Like Wine.
My Aged Like Wine is corrupt financial institutions.
Love it.
This movie, I don't have a source to quote here, but I believe I read at one point that this movie was Adam McKay kind of responding to the 2008 financial crisis. That kind of inspired this side plot of the David Ershon crimes and the money he stole from investors that he's trying to steal from other people to replace. And I don't have the quote in front of me either, but when they're doing the investigation and they hand over the evidence to Don Beeman, David Wallace, he says, "Oh yeah, you guys are the best. You guys are the best at this," and then lists a bunch of failed, except for Enron. And there was a whole bunch of references to these other corrupt institutions, and we go on to see Adam McKay kind of tackle that a little stronger in The Big Short, kind of less of a comedy masking what he really wanted to talk about in that movie. But I think that aged pretty well. Was his exploration of the corrupt financial institutions that we still live with today.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that like really it captures the post 2008 crisis anger that people were feeling towards like finance bros and just overall just CEOs, banks, everything. So that's really good. Okay, so now moving into Aged Like Milk. I honestly don't think that they did like a or like I don't think that they included like too much like bad and like offensive humor in this movie. Like surprisingly, like there was a couple things here and there maybe about like joking about like therapy, not taking therapy seriously, like that type of stuff, maybe a little bit. And like some of like the like macho like cop humor, like that type of a thing that I think didn't always or doesn't land well like in today's like climate. But I would say like the one thing that like probably didn't age the best for me is just the overall like I do love Will Ferrell and like I think he's funny, but I think that kind of like where he just like yells everything, like that type of humor where it's like he just like loudly says everything and like screams his lines, like I think that kind of like fell off. I don't think that type of humor is still like prevalent anymore. I think there's a lot more like sharper comedy writing nowadays. So yeah, I would say that's probably like my biggest thing is just the like screaming your lines and like the like Anchorman type of humor. So I think that it's funny for what it was and like it still gets laughs, but like I'm kind of over it. What about you guys? What about you, Connor?
Mine's similar. My Aged Like Milk is that this was Will Ferrell's last great comedy. I think this was the final peak for him. And as a kind of connection to that, the Will Ferrell Adam McKay working relationship. I mean, the two of them together, we got Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, and then this movie. And then the last movie that they collaborated on was Anchorman 2, which I'm personally not a fan of. And I really think the projects that we see Will Ferrell move into after this movie, including Anchorman 2, I think are not his best work. I really think it was this movie was that last gasp of that what you kind of described before as that unique style of comedy. I like that style of comedy, and I do agree that it has kind of been phased out, aged out. But it's done really well in this movie, and I don't think there's another movie after this that I can point to that is one that I've rewatched nearly as much as this or the ones I previously mentioned. I mean, I've seen Talladega Nights and Anchorman like dozens of times, and I think they're still very funny, and I'll rewatch those all the time. There's nothing post the other guys that I think I go back to over and over again and get, new laughs out of. There's not anything that really stands out to me after this. So I think this was kind of the cliff. I don't know another way to say it, but it was this was that final peak for their comedy style.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think comedy's always evolving, and it's like, yeah, it was funny at the time, and like I still like those movies, but it's like I think we're always just looking for like new comedy and like if you look back to like movies from like the 50s and stuff, it's like they're not funny by today's standards at all, but you can understand how they were funny at that time. Right. So I feel like that's kind of how I feel about like a lot of like the Will Ferrell like worlds of like all of his comedies. It's like, they're funny, but like we're onto something new now. So it almost looks a little like out of place if you did it now.
We have his cameo. I mean, I don't even know if it's a cameo in Barbie, but where he's, the corporate suit in Barbie. Yeah. He's the corporate suit and more of a cameo role in the Lego movie. Anchorman 2, like I said, is not my favorite.
Same.
The Daddy's Home movies. It's tough to find. And Matthew, I know you're a very big fan of, oh wait, he's not in Shrinking. He's in The Shrink Next Door. So he's not in the show that you're a big fan of.
Do you know, Connor? Do you? No, I'm right there with you both. And it's funny you kind of bring this up as well, just because in preparation for this, kind of talking to my dad about, the pods we had planned and everything, and comparing 21 Jump Street and other guys. Part of why I pushed to do 21 Jump Street before the other guys was because it's personally, I'm a bigger fan of that. And like, obviously we three of us grew up with our families being big fans of both these movies. But if I had to pick one versus the other to only be able to watch like for the rest of my life, it would be 21 Jump Street, even though I do love this movie, just because of kind of what you're saying about the type of humor, and part of that being the intentional yelling of lines, being overly loud or a little louder than you should be, kind of the absurdity of certain things. I feel like it is funny. It was funnier in 2010, and more so for me, like 21 Jump Street, I can laugh the same, or you have your kind of your first laugh when you see a comedy for the first time, and there might be a drop off, but at that next viewing, drop off and subsequent viewings after that, for me, that stays pretty even for 21 Jump Street, because I feel like that comedy is much more smartly written. It's wittier, just like the kind of the, I don't want to say intellectualization behind the comedy, but just the intelligence behind it just will make me laugh at it, where the other guys, it is more of this kind of like slapstick or absurd, or just like them yelling lines, oh that's funny, but the 10th time watch, okay, I get it, they're just being loud, that's not making me laugh the same way as it used to.
I could see that.
I get that.
Yeah, so I had several things, and I realized I ended up treating this category as like most of my things. I have like two things that age like milk, and the rest are kind of like things that just feel outdated. I kind of use part of my category for that. But for what aged like truly like milk was Terry, when he goes to see his ex-girlfriend at her like ballet studio, and he is like having issues with her dancing with the male ballet dancer, and so the guy's black, and he goes, "Oh, you're running around with this crack dealing drug addict," and I'm like, is that just because it's black?
I don't remember that.
And I'm like, okay, that's not great. So he says that, and then when he's talking about, when he shows, he makes it, he does his like ballet dance moves, and he's really good. So immediately, like 2 lines after this, someone's like, "Oh, like I didn't know you could dance like that," and he goes, "We used to do those dance moves to make fun of guys when we were kids to show them how queer they were." Okay, and I'm like, yeah, nope, doesn't fly anymore.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 things.
Which I think it's the verbiage that obviously the racial profiling part is definitely aged poorly. I think the verbiage in the dancing bit is what didn't age good, but I think that joke is really funny still.
Oh, yeah, to make fun of other people.
The whole gag.
Yeah. Switch up the wording.
It was a great reoccurring gag,
Mhm.
but yeah, not handled very tastefully.
Him choosing to be good at things for the sake of only making fun of other people.
Yeah.
He played the harp and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
He learned to make fun of the kid down the street.
Yes. And then I'll do a quick little run through of like 6 things or so of things that really just more of like just kind of feel outdated. But the first was The Rock with hair. After this, I feel like he really just didn't keep any hair anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Online media being looked down upon in the opening scene. They do the New York Observer ... online. Online is where most of that is nowadays. Alan having a camera in the opening scene. I feel like we have our phones and everything, and you only have a real camera if you're a professional, someone who's really serious about photography. And then there's the mention of Twitter. There's a part where Alan talks about using Ask Jeeves. I'm like, wow, I've not heard of Ask Jeeves in years. Like, holy shit.
That might have been outdated at the time.
Yeah, that was already 5 years outdated. And then there was CDs in cars. No one uses CDs. David Ershon asking if he's being punked. Punked has not been maybe they brought it back a while ago, but I mean that was very like mid to late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's everything I had for Aged Like Milk.
All right, so diving into our next award, which is the Chicken Tendies Award.
I'm gonna run a train on these chicken fingers.
A bit, a trope, a one-liner, really anything that that you love every time. It's something that's always great. So I'll kick it over to you guys.
Yeah, so I have one that I'm going to choose for the award, but 3 honorable mentions. The honorable mentions are just buddy cop movies, always great, always super entertaining. Kind of branch off that odd couple pairings. I love a good odd couple pairing. This with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, and I feel like that's kind of essential for buddy cop movies as well. Then the third is people randomly being good at things and shocking people that they're good at it. Like Terry can randomly ballet dance and play the sax, and there might have been something else. But my Chicken Tendies award goes to the trope of just a nerdy dude with a randomly hot wife that is way out of their league. I feel like that pops up from time to time. It's always funny, and I don't know, it just always works for me. And obviously, I'm just referencing Alan's character with or Will Ferrell's character with Eva Mendes, and then also when other characters can't believe that they're actually together.
Yeah, I love those. Those are great.
My nominee for the Chicken Tendies award is the enemies to friends trope. I love that being played out. It gives the characters, clashing personalities. It'll lead to some conflict. It opens up for some jokes. It lets us, the viewers, kind of like root for them teaming up and kind of getting over those obstacles, join forces, and in this case, solve the crime. Like they don't really make big progress until they put aside their differences. I think that works all the time, and I think it's done particularly well in this movie.
Awesome. I think that all 3 of the movies that we have done so far have been enemies to friends. I feel like if 21 Jump Street, like I wouldn't say they were enemies, but he was a bully. He was his high school bully.
Yeah, they glossed
and they
over
became
it really
best
quick.
friends. Yeah. I also had the same thing as you, Matthew, where I wrote like the impossibly like hot wife with like a doofus husband. I think that always hits. It's a couple that makes no sense. It's always funny. And then I also had another one, which is I can't even think of other examples of this, but it's just actually, that's a lie. I can think of an example, but the guy around the office that everyone hates and makes fun of, which is
That's a good
Bob.
one.
And the other example that just came to mind is Toby from The Office. But
Toby's a
basically,
good
it's
one.
like always the butt of the joke. Like they're always yelling at him. Like I like wrote down a couple of quotes from people just like talking to Bob, and I just like feel so bad for him. The captain, he goes, "This paperwork is like Bob's wife here. It's thick, ugly, and has Dance's fingerprints all over it." And then he goes, "No offense, Bob," and Bob just goes, "Nah, it's all right." I'm like, poor Bob. And then Terry literally tells him, he's like, "Do you do anything around here besides interrupt people? You're a worthless piece of shit." So
Probably
and
why
then
I feel bad all the time.
yes,
Yeah.
he's like that's probably why I feel so sad all the time. And but yeah,
Milton,
so
Milton in Office Space is another
Yeah.
one.
Both the tropes you just mentioned are combined into one in Parks and Rec.
yeah, I was just about to say
Oh, there you
Parks
go.
and Rec. With
Yeah.
Terry, Larry,
Larry,
Gary,
Gary.
I don't even know. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't even know what his
Gary
real name is.
Midge.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's so funny. Yeah, I love that trope. I think like having like a random character who's so sweet and nice, but is always like the butt of the joke is always so funny. Alrighty. Next award is our Augie Farks Award, which we have for the funniest, best, greatest character name throughout the movie. So I will go first here. I put Danson and Highsmith as like great character names. I think that it's like in my mind, it like if somebody was like come up with like the best like big shot like cop
Mhm.
names from like an 80s movie, like Danson and Highsmith is what I would say, something along the lines of. Like I think that it's perfect. And then I also put down Dirty Mike, of course.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I love that he just goes by Dirty Mike and his friends go by the boys, and it's just I love it. And I have a couple others, but I think you guys might have them too. So I'll go over to you, Connor.
Dirty Mike is the one that I keep teetering between two. Dirty Mike being one of them, the other being Christina.
Yep.
I think
that was
in
my
the
other
movie,
one.
even we get a lot of jokes out of it. You get my wife's name right. Christina is such a funny, getting so upset too over
Yeah.
being called Christina, I think she was
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Those are the two funniest, I think. We can debate amongst ourselves and see who should be the recipient of the Augie Farks Award.
Yeah, for mine, I had 3, but I almost put Christina on there. I almost had that on the list. That was a really good one. But I also had Danson Highsmith because they're just 2 really good, like classic 80s cops
Yeah.
names. Like, they're
Mhm.
cool or they're really good at their job or whatever. Great names just to go by your last name too. Not even have to like
Mhm.
call like detective or use the full name.
Yeah.
I also had Dirty Mike for every reason said so far and many more. Just a
Yeah.
fantastic name. And then my third one was David Ershon because I feel like that's just a really good, rich
It is.
banker, finance,
Mhm.
kind of villainous type of guy. Like that name
Mhm.
fits so well. And also the fact that he's British and then he's like, it's actually Sir David Ershon that made me laugh.
Yeah.
It's like David Ershon works really well for that type of character. But I feel like part of me really wants to go Danson Highsmith. I feel like that's just so good. But Dirty Mike is so
Yeah.
classic. Just be called Dirty Mike. Putting that dirty adjective makes it hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be Dirty Mike because all three of us said it.
Yeah.
I lean Dirty Mike
Yeah,
as well.
it's got to be. Danson Highsmith is like a cool, like great character name, and like Dirty Mike is
Mhm.
just like it's the best. It's funniest.
It's
like,
iconic.
Yeah. All right, Dirty Mike it is. Okay, so now let's dive into some hot takes. I have a couple hot takes for this, and one of them is that and I think I thought this when I first watched it, but I don't even know if I'm not married to it, but one thing that I thought was that this movie has kind of just like a very like weird plot. Like there's so like I get that like the point of it is that like they're following the different leads and stuff, whatever, but like is it just me or was it like unnecessarily complicated for just like a random comedy? It's like there were so many leads that they followed. There were so many scenes where I was like, that probably like didn't even need to be in the movie at all. And it's like the runtime, it wasn't even that long of a runtime. So I'm like, they really filled it with like a bunch of like very weird, like surprising scenes. And it's like they were all funny, so I'm not complaining, but like that, I think that's like my biggest hot take is that like the plot is like a little bit weird and complex for just like a stupid comedy. It's like we look back at like role models in 21 Jump Street and it's like very straightforward. Like you like it's not complicated at all. There's no weird like tangents. There's just a lot of tangents. There's a lot going on in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but it's just something that I noticed after just watching role models in 21 Jump Street that they were much more straightforward. And this one I was like, what's happening?
To be comedies.
Yeah,
those two were trying to be strictly comedies, where I think Adam McKay may have been trying to do a little more with this one.
That's the vibe I got.
Which wound up muddying up the plot a little bit and pulling away from it being a strictly comedy.
I don't know if I feel like I read somewhere that this was originally not supposed to be a comedy. I think it was supposed to be a serious like movie, like action drama, like something along those lines. So and then I think it like pivoted to comedy. So like you can definitely feel that through the plot.
Yeah, I think I read the same thing. And like we had talked about before, he started writing or wanted to do a comedy with Ferrell and Walhberg. But then when he was writing this, it was more serious. And I feel like he might have gotten like a studio note at some point being like, hey, it kind of dial it back from the seriousness. This might not be the time for that. Make it more of a comedy. And I feel like he then, obviously, as we talked about, got his time to shine more in the serious, political drama stuff of like The Big Short and Vice and whatnot. So, so I think I've read the same thing as well.
Yeah, he just had a lot to say, I guess, about the 2008 crisis.
Yeah,
he just really wanted to make movies about it. He wasn't happy.
And to kind of comment on that as well, it did feel unnecessarily complicated, especially in comparison to the movies we've already done for this podcast. And part of me wonders too if it maybe even felt more complicated because I feel like those beats with the plot were really in the background of every scene versus being in the foreground, really driving it forward, where the main focus of this movie is for us just to follow these characters and laugh while they're doing outrageous things and saying outrageous things and acting outrageously. And the plot was just kind of floating around in the background existing. So I feel like maybe that also made it feel more complicated than it actually was because we never really focused it on that much. Like even when Alan and Terry are at Terry's house for dinner and you meet Sheila, they're like there to like look at some stuff on his computer or whatever. They're looking over evidence that he's talking about being big on messing around with like Adobe over the weekend and like cutting out 3 minutes from Goodfellas. And then they're at the dinner table eating dinner and he's, Mark Wahlberg can get over the fact that Alan's wife is like way out of his league. So like you're focusing on all the comedic bits, even though the purpose of being there was to like go over this case.
Which they glossed over really quickly for some one-liners.
Exactly.
No, that's a really good point. Like I feel like like obviously I'm aware that it's a comedy, but it's like as I was watching, I was just kind of like you're aware of like the plot and like what's happening, but they really don't make it very clear. Like I almost like I mean, I was a kid when I was like watching this for the first time, but I didn't understand the plot. I'm like, what's even happening until I got older? Like then you like understand more of like what's actually happening. But like I just remember like I loved it and thought it was funny, but I didn't know what was happening until like a few years ago. So,
you didn't understand the global financial crisis or Ponzi schemes at 11 years old?
Do you ever see those memes where they're like, it's like 2008 and like your parents are struggling and like you asked to buy some stupid toy at the store? I always think about that. I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, I get this?
Yeah, it's like my parents are in the middle of a divorce while they're, losing their house in the housing bubble crisis, and I'm playing Dance Dance Revolution in the other room or Guitar Hero.
That's me with this movie. I was like, I don't care. I'm just here to laugh. All right. Any other hot takes? Connor, do you have any hot takes?
I've got a couple. One of them is kind of similar to what you were already saying, where this movie's not as strictly a comedy. There's a lot going on in the background. And aside from what we've just touched on, I think this movie's kind of an underrated action movie. It's not pure action from beginning to end, but there's some really good action set pieces in this movie. From the opening car chase, the dancing in Highsmith and the Rastas, Mark Wahlberg when he has that hand-to-hand combat with the people on motorcycles, where he's like beating the shit out of them with
Colombian
the
drug lords.
How do you know that?
Where are you getting this?
And I've already talked about it like 3 times with the icky thump, Mark Wahlberg sliding on his back in the boardroom. I mean, they're all really well directed, really well shot action scenes, just plopped into this comedy movie. Like,
Yeah.
there's certainly a lot more going on in this movie, where like we just watched 21 Jump Street, where they're almost a little more silly about the action, where this one takes its financial crimes plot very seriously. It takes its action very seriously. But like you said, on the surface is just a bombardment of one-liners and
Yeah.
like really silly gags that are just kind of blanketed across this more, complex, confusing at times a story, this detective story.
100%. It's like, did Adam McKay, like, did you know what you wanted to do with this movie? It's like,
It's four movies.
Yeah, like, I
in a
love it.
blender.
I love this movie, but it kind of is a little all over the place.
I'm just thinking now.
I can loop back around if you have anything, Matthew.
Yeah, no, I have only one thing before I share it though. While you guys are saying that, I was thinking my one sentence poor description, like plot summary, should have been: two cops shout at each other while they uncover a Ponzi scheme. It was just all shouting for nearly 2 hours.
Yep, pretty much.
But yeah, my only hot take was to switch Alan and Terry's names around. I thought they fit better if you switch their names, because make Mark Wahlberg Alan Gamble, and more so make Will Ferrell Terry Hoyts. Like, I feel Will Ferrell looks like a Terry Hoyts. That fits.
Really? That is a hot take. I disagree.
I like Alan for Will Ferrell. I think that works, but Alan Gamble for Mark Wahlberg, then switching over to Terry Hoyts for Will Ferrell. If you kept those names, just flipped them, I feel like Terry Hoyts works way better for Will Ferrell than it does for Mark Wahlberg.
What if we just flip last names? Because I wasn't convinced, and then you kind of had me with Mark Wahlberg being Gamble. If he's Terry Gamble and Will Ferrell is Alan Hoyt, I feel like that might be
I think the last names you got to switch them, because there's no way that Wahlberg is a Hoyts and Ferrell is a Gamble.
That's fair.
I think that's the last names.
That's funny.
My last hot take is, I think you could make the argument that this is the best comedy buddy cop movie that there is. I did a Google search on some of these types of movies, and the only ones that I can really think of that kind of test this one is, I love Hot Fuzz. I think Hot Fuzz is
21
fantastic.
Jump Street.
21 Jump Street is definitely up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe like Beverly Hills Cop. But aside from that, I mean, this movie's so much. I like this movie better than a Bad Boys or a Rush Hour or
Same.
The Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy.
But I think other guys still might take it.
I mean, when I do this Google search, it's Cop Out with Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan, who does appear in this movie. Zootopia, Let's Be Cops.
Honestly, Zootopia,
with Damon Wayans
fire.
Jr. also in this movie. Starsky and Hutch. There's just been so many of them that I really do think this one might be the best one.
I mean, I personally
the
agree.
action, the comedy. I know we've talked so much recently about how it's a little messy, how much this movie's doing, but it does do all that stuff where a lot of those other movies don't execute the action really well, or, the drama aspect well, or the comedy aspect well. And outside of like Beverly Hills Cop, I really think this might be the best buddy cop comedy. Also, really good chemistry between the two, and I think that's a great edge. Not that it's going against 21 Jump Street, because I think they have phenomenal comedic chemistry, but I think definitely compared to a lot of those other movies that I listed.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a good hot take. Got a good case there.
Next, we have our Paul Rudd category, which is how we would fit Paul Rudd into this movie. We love Paul Rudd, and we want to fit him into every single movie. So, what do you think, Matthew? Where should we put Paul Rudd in the other guys?
I absolutely love the initial casting of this person I'm about to name, but I feel like Paul Rudd could have played Bob. It's just kind of
I can
a
see it.
pokey, always
Yeah.
super happy, butt of every joke, just happy to be there type of guy, and people pick on him. He's all right, let's kind of roll off his shoulders. I feel like he could have just plugged him in there, and you could have played that character.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
throw some
like that.
glasses on Paul Rudd.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. I put that I again I all like you said I like the casting of this, but the Zoe Lister Jones, aka Fawn Moscato from New Girl, like her role, I feel like Paul Rudd could almost be like an R idiot brother Paul Rudd, like kind of like a little bit like hippie, like therapist vibe. I feel like that could work there. But again, I do like the original like casting. Like I think that she does a good job at kind of like seeming like just frustrated and annoyed at all
Yeah.
of these cops.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we could get like a little like a soft Paul Rudd into that role as well.
Yeah. My initial thought was just to be one of the cops in the precinct. I think that's an easy spot to squeeze him into. And then as we got a little further into the movie, I was thinking Christina's husband would have been a really funny spot for Paul Rudd. I do like Brett Gelman,
Yeah.
Stranger Things Murray, in that role. He gives us some iconic lines, the shaved, the Arnie Palmies. I really think if you just had a beard on Paul Rudd, he could have done all those
Put a
lines,
absurd
and
beard on
we'd
him.
still be quoting them. I don't think anything's lost if that was Paul Rudd. Even the chasing them down, I think, would just be really funny seeing Paul Rudd do that.
You get back here and have sex with my wife. Alrighty. For a drive-in double feature, what would you pair this movie with at the drive-in? I picked either Daddy's Home or like Anchorman. I feel like Daddy's Home because of obviously the Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg duo, and then Anchorman because I feel like another Adam McKay, Will Ferrell concoction there. I think that they would go well together, even though the years don't matter for the purposes of this because they're all not even close to each other. But that's what I would pick. What about you, Connor?
So I went in a different direction for double feature. I kind of stayed in the buddy cop lines, and I picked a few, but I do have a winner. So my two honorable mentions would be Hot Fuzz that I just previously mentioned, 2007, Simon Pegg and Nicholas Angel. I love that movie. It's super funny. British take on buddy cop. A little more horror than action in that one. But I do love that movie. And then I mentioned just earlier The Heat, Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, 2013. I did see that one in theaters. I think it was, I really don't think I thought it was that funny the first time I saw it, but it has aged nicely. I haven't watched it in years, but funny movie, kind of the gender flip buddy cop. And then my actual choice would be 2016's The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. I'm a big fan of that movie. I think it's very underrated. Different time, different setting. I think, this is modern New York City for the other guys. And then the Nice Guys is taking us to 70s LA, I believe, 70s Hollywood. So I think different vibes, similar. We're plugging along, we're following up on our clues and our leads, trying to uncover something bigger. And I think in that movie too, it winds up being some deep crimes that they're looking at and covering. I think it was more pollution based and government cover up and whatnot like that, but still unearthing the big devious plot. But two very funny actors in a different setting.
Yeah, I had Anchorman. That was probably gonna be my choice. I had put Step Brothers with a question mark, just because I figured just some other Will Ferrell, Adam McKay kind of properties in there. I think Anchorman would be my top choice. But then you brought up The Heat, and I think another one of my favorite buddy cop movies. And unlike you, I did love it the first time I saw it. It's like right up my family's alley, which is all the cast, the premise, the humor, and also just taking place in Boston. My family's connection to Boston.
Yep, it's a Boston.
All those Boston accents fucking killed me. So I'd probably say Anchorman 1, and then as a backup, The Heat for number 2.
Love it. Okay, next we'll do popcorn bucket. So, what would the popcorn bucket sold at the theater be for this movie? Matthew, do you want to share yours?
Yeah, this was a little tougher than other movies. My first idea was a red Prius with bullet holes in it and then Coke on the hood. I don't know how appropriate that is for sales and theaters. And then two other ideas I had were just Terry's wooden gun just as a popcorn bucket. And then my third was a peacock. I feel like a realistic popcorn bucket would be, which is like across it, like kind of what the movie poster is, which is like Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, like jumping through the air, shooting their guns. I feel like, like smoke in the back. I feel like that would be fairly normal. But I feel like I would kind of want to go with the red Prius with the bullet holes in it and the Coke on the hood. That'd be kind of fun.
I had the same thing. I
Really?
had a cocaine dusted Prius.
Amazing.
I like the addition of bullet holes. The only thing I'm going to tweak on your suggestion there is a little dirty Mike in the window. We would have to have dirty Mike in the window. Maybe on another window, a raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
And I
guys
think-
are killing me with these. I had the exact same thing. I said Dirty Mike and the Boys themed / red Prius combo, and then in
Yeah.
parentheses, inappropriate to actually sell, of course.
Yeah.
Like, this is just an idea. It would never, we're not having like hobos having an orgy on a popcorn bucket in a public movie theater.
If they want me
That's
to buy it, they will.
Yeah. Another thought I had that's much more appropriate is like Dancing in Highsmith, like 80s like action movie themed, like them, like maybe like back to back, like like the whole like an 80s movie poster of like these action stars. I feel like that would be like much more appropriate. And then I also had a peacock as like another like alternative, just because I feel like that's like the most quoted line I feel like from this movie. Like people know, like nowhere else do they ever say something like that. Like that belongs. Peacock and everything belongs to this movie.
I couldn't even come up with another idea. The only thing that I had jotted down there was cucumber water. If it's like just the top of a glass of water with cucumber.
It's so
on the
niche.
side.
People have been, what the hell? What movie is this for?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the red Prius. I couldn't. After I wrote down red Prius, I couldn't come up with anything that remotely was as funny.
Yeah. The only thing I'd want to add to the red Prius detail is one little finger mark trail on the hood for when the one security detail guy takes a little bit of the coke and puts it on his gums. He walks away.
I love it. Okay. Moving right along, next we have Mystery Box, which is a new category. And this is where whoever the host is for the episode will bring in another category and kind of like have the others answer on the spot. So I will pull in mine for this one. I chose insane studio notes or crazy changes we would make, recast, removal of a plot line, anything along those lines. And I'll share mine first. If you guys don't have one, that's fine too, but just a fun little addition. I would personally remove the entire Sheila's mom and Alan and Sheila, that whole storyline going back and forth outside. Like, I was like bored. Like, yeah, it was funny, whatever. I was like bored during that scene. I would have cut that whole thing. I would have had them make up like either in a different scene or off camera, or I don't even know. I would have rewrote the Alan and Sheila storyline. Honestly, I didn't love it. It was kind of boring to me, but that I would, get rid of that plot line.
It's funny you say that, because when I was misunderstanding our mystery box category, I was looking through other categories thinking, which one should I even bring up? And I was thinking insane studio notes. And the only thing I could think of for that was getting rid of that scene.
Yeah.
I think I watched the movie last night, and I think that was the only scene. I like got up and went to the bathroom during that scene.
Yeah, like I don't care.
I've seen it. I know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it right now.
It went on for so long.
It's longer than it needs to be, and I caught the end of it, and it's like it's unnecessary. It really doesn't add anything. They had already made a point earlier that he like needs to go, clear the air with Sheila, and I agree. I feel like that scene could have been done with him like holding up signs in the window or something.
100%. I also like don't really like I don't need to see Eva Mendes and Will Ferrell making out. Like, I just don't need to see it. I'm good.
Mhm.
It's funny because I used to love that scene. I used to find that scene so funny, and I even almost put that as a favorite scene earlier, just because like I couldn't pick from everything. That like, oh, this just kind of makes you laugh. But I think you are right that it's kind of just there. You can cut if you had to
Yeah.
cut anywhere, that would be the part to cut. But it
Mhm.
always used to crack me up so much, just forcing this old woman just to repeat these just insanely sexual lines to each other. But yeah, no, I mean that makes sense about cutting out. That doesn't really
It was
kind of whatever.
way funnier the first time
Yeah.
that I saw the movie.
Yeah.
In rewatch, it's something that I don't need.
Yeah, I think it was just too long. Like, it was like, it's a funny concept, but like, it was just, I was bored. I was like, why is this? It felt like it was like 15 minutes. I know it wasn't, but it felt like it.
And the movie's very tight otherwise.
It is.
And I think that's
Yeah.
why it's only a 2-minute scene realistically.
it just
but
kinda
it
dragged.
did drag, and,
Yeah.
and
That's a
it
good
never
point.
felt like there was another moment that dragged
Mhm.
throughout this movie.
Right.
I think thinking of Insane Studio Notes, I feel like maybe changing something about Mark Wahlberg and Francine's storyline. Mark Wahlberg, I mean, I know it's an absurd comedy, but Mark Wahlberg has no redeeming qualities, and there's no reason why she should be taking him back. So, like, give him
Mhm.
something that makes him somewhat worthy of being taken back. Because he randomly, like, they even mentioned in passing, I think in Ice-T's narration, that there used to be a restraining order between them and whatever, and he shows up to her dance her ballet rehearsal or practice, whatever it is, and he's just like being mean and not saying like anything useful, and I'm just like, why does she want to get back together with him? So like I feel like they got to change something a little bit there.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
a good note.
Yeah, both of their relationship storylines were just like weird.
Yeah.
It was like they were trying to add some extra, like, I almost feel like that might be the reason why like things felt so muddy, is just because of all these like weird like external storylines. And it's like other movies do it all the time and it works. For some reason
Yeah.
it just didn't work for me in this.
Yeah, I think they're like, I use the word absurd for a lot of their comedy and stuff. I feel like it's just another like absurd type of comedy. Like, oh,
Yeah.
these are just weird pairings, or they interact very weirdly, but that's kind of funny because it's so different and not normal. But yeah, I mean, Sheila being with Alan makes no sense. Like, why would she all of a sudden date some dude and she's a resident doctor and he's a he's a pimp with poison ivy up
Poison ivy.
Like, why are they getting together?
It's way up there.
You're way up there.
They're both just vehicles for jokes. They don't
Yeah.
progress
Exactly.
any sort of plot points
Right.
at any of the scenes with Sheila or with I can't remember her name as Terry's
Francine.
fiance.
Francine, yeah.
Francine, yes. There was nothing that progressed the plot in any of their scenes where, like we were talking about, there's actual plot progression for the actual mystery that they're trying to solve happening in the background of jokes. But that's all of that is jokes and the plot being pushed further. There's
Yeah.
another clue, a new lead. But every time we're taking these detours for their relationships, it's just jokes. There's nothing progressing the story at all with
Yeah,
any of those scenes.
Right.
Yeah, and I honestly, and like part of me is like, well, I really don't even need to be like critically analyzing the other guys, but at the same time, like like I said before, it's like Adam McKay
That's
kind
what
of
we're
like,
doing here.
yeah. First of all, that's what this podcast is. Like, I'm gonna analyze a comedy if I'm gonna analyze a comedy, but then also it's like like we were saying, like the plot is kind of complex, or maybe not complex is the right word, but like it's a little like advanced for a comedy. So hey, if that's what we're working with, I'm gonna treat it like a combo between a couple different genres. Okay. I think this is our last category, which is basically any new categories or awards should we start adopting into our list for future movies that are based off of this movie. I had a couple of different ones that like I thought would be good, and obviously we'll decide off pod which ones we actually want to do. But I do think that it would be funny to have like a Dancing in Highsmith award for like the most unexpected scene. I think like there's a lot of movies where like there's like something kind of happens out of nowhere, whether it's somebody dies that you didn't expect, or and that doesn't even have to be about like someone dying, but just like anything that that felt really random and out of place. I feel like the Dancing in Highsmith award could go for that.
I like that.
And then another one is the Dirty Mike and the Boys award for the funniest running gag throughout a movie. I feel like we watch a lot of comedies and we watch a lot of movies where there are running gags throughout the whole movie, and I think that would be a fun one to kind of pick our favorite gag like throughout the movie. Doesn't have to be like chicken tendies per se. Like it doesn't have to be like something that hits every time, but just specific to that movie.
Yes.
But that's what I had for that. So
I like the
do
names
you
for those
guys have
too.
anything else?
I did have one, and it has the same name as one of yours.
But different
I have
award.
the Dirty Mike Award for Best Cameo by a Crew Member.
I like that a lot.
It's not always gonna pop up. It won't always appear in every movie, but sometimes the writer or the director or an executive producer will have a cameo in the movie, and I think it would be rarely used, but in this case, probably the best use of a director cameoing in his own movie
Yeah.
was Dirty Mike. So I'm not trying to take anything away from your Dirty Mike category, but that was my suggestion.
I like it. All right. So that is all we had in terms of our categories. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention? Any other like random quotes or bits or anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to touch on, or trivia? Really anything. I'll open it up to you guys.
I think one thing that comes to mind is just, I mentioned the odd couple pairings in these type of movies, and I think Terry and Alan are a great odd couple for many different reasons. But something that stuck out to me on this rewatch was how like blatant they were with one way that they're polar opposites is that Alan just says what he's feeling all the time, and obviously he's very calm and level-headed, where Terry's just blowing off the handle, just getting angry, breaking shit, doing all this stuff. But Alan literally just like the one line that I'd written down, I quoted him as saying, he goes, "Now you're asking me to mask my emotions because how it makes you feel. That I will not do." And so he's just being very, upfront about like, I will share my emotions. I will talk about it. I will say how I'm feeling. Whereas Terry just never shares what he's feeling. I think later on he might comment about it, but they were just so polar opposites in how they handle emotions. And I never really thought about that until I watched it this time around.
Yeah, Terry smashes his computer instead of saying how he feels.
Yes.
At one point, I think Alan like makes a comment about how like he was like at the whole like fresh start scene where he's like, your insults are like really weird and specific, and then like Terry pauses for a moment. He's like, I hear you. He's like, I understand. Like he totally gets where he's coming from. He's like, you're right. Like I've had very weird and specific insults. I need to calm down.
Yeah, which is he shows that little bit of character growth to Alan, not to Francine, which is just very
never to Francine.
Yeah.
I only had one scene I wanted to shout out that we did not talk about with best scenes, and it was the quiet fight at the funeral. That is just a gag that makes me laugh every single time I watch this movie. When the captain breaks it up and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" Like just whisper
yelling in the motions.
Yeah, and he's like,
I don't think
"Are
I've seen
you
that
guys?"
in a movie before.
He's like, "Are you guys trying to fight over who's going to be the next like big shot cops or whatever?" And Alan's like, "That's exactly what happens.
That's
what's
exactly
happening."
what's going on. I know we don't do like an MVP award for movies, but I feel like Michael Keaton's the MVP of this movie. His character is so good, and the way he delivers his lines, and like he just, I don't know, it's just everything he does is so perfect.
And I think he gets better as the movie goes on, because I will say the one scene that I kind of find a little weird is his first scene when he does the, "All right, guys, come and circle up, back up a little."
Oh, I thought that was funny.
That was kind of like that was another joke that I thought was a lot funnier the first time I saw the movie as opposed to like a rewatch. But the TLC gags, how he's like all those little one-liners as the movie goes on, the Bed Bath & Beyond stuff, I think the stuff about his son, I just think he gets funnier and funnier as the movie goes.
Oh, love Michael Keaton. All right. Well, I think that is all we had for today. So thank you everyone for listening, and be sure to check us out on Spotify and YouTube, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Popcorn in the Face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Popcorn in the Face. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Popcorn in the Face Pod for episode updates, behind the scenes content, and all of our movie opinions. New episodes will be available on Wednesdays on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, so be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss one. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.